Hello, and welcome to the Green Island podcast. I'm Bernard Sheehan, joined as always by my brother James Sheehan. We are the authors of Hard Border, part of the Green Island novels series. We're going to continue on with those series. Please check us out on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, and also on Twitter under Green Island Pods. This podcast is also to keep us up to date as Irish Americans, what's going on in Ireland in particular, but also around the world. But there's been a lot of Irish news lately, so we can talk about that. James, welcome. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks, Bern. Thanks for having me. Have some nice topics to talk about it.
Yeah, and some of the things we've talked about a little bit, or at least alluded to, one of them right out of the gate was Pierce Brosnan trespassing on Yellowstone. That was a big deal a couple of weeks ago. Went off the path, and I don't know how much damage he caused, but it must have been a lot because they threw the book at him. He's going to jail for life. No, I'm just kidding.
Is he? No.
No.
Uh-huh.
He got a suspended sentence, went home that very day. He got a $5,000 fine and a 2-year probation. So slap on the wrist, and you've been very naughty, Pierce. So please don't do that again. And we're welcome, to come back and traipse around whenever you like, but know that it's going to cost you $5,000 each time you do it.
As expected.
Yep.
That's exactly, especially if he's a celebrity. I mean, again, if it was Donald Trump, he'd be in jail now for the rest of his life. But another celebrity breaks the rules and they get a slap on the wrist. As expected.
Or if he was a Donald Trump friend, I mean, he would have been in jail right from the get-go and serving time already. I mean, this is,
denied bail, right? Denied bond.
Denied bail. His fine would be $1 billion. Everything costs a B, with these guys. So it's just kind of, it's almost like a farce here in the U.S. I know we, really don't get into politics that much, but man, the stuff that's going on with him and all of these lawsuits and everything are absolutely insane. And then people are like, oh, well, he's not raising money. Sorry to go off on a tangent, but he can't get the money because all of his everything he owns is in property. It's like, have you guys never refinanced your home? It takes months to do that. And that's a house, not to raise $500 million. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, especially, again, whoever gives them the money will be a target as well. But there's a lot of issues around that because, again, the judge seems like they just assessed what he had, that he handed over in discovery of cash on hand, and they just took it all. A lot of the Eighth Amendment's being shouted around now about that excessive fines, because I think Ruth Bader Ginsburg kind of ruled on that probably 10 years ago or something, that says you can't take someone's property worth 4 times the amount of the fine, if that makes sense. And I think this fine is completely out of whack.
Yeah, it definitely is. And it's the same with, I mean, every New Yorker has got to be shaking in their boots there. I'm sorry to go off on this tangent, but it's like, if you're in their bad books, they're going to come after you and take your property. So it's a bad situation there, especially for doing what he did, which is valuing the property, getting into a deal with a bank, and then paying the money back. That's kind of what you do in real estate and property development. So it's insane. And
it is, especially since it's not civil, like it wasn't brought by the bank. Seems like any transaction now can be up for government to step in and say that's illegal. It doesn't matter what the transaction is now. It doesn't even have to be real estate. Any loan or anything can be up for, you can't do that and we're going to fine you. And it's like, well, what's the fine based on? It's like, well, we're not really kind of going to get into that, but you're going to have to pay the government the fine, not the actual, person that's supposed to be damaged in this process. So again, not going after the right guys and going after the wrong guys, vice versa.
Right. Well, that's the thing they always say, at least from our experiences, what's the damages? Show damages. And then and then you take it from there. Well, there are no damages here. There was nothing. But like you said, there's between that in New York and, I mean, again, off on a tangent, but Elon Musk in Delaware, some Delaware judge a couple of weeks back said, sorry, your pay package, what you had agreed to with Tesla, sorry, You're not getting that. You're not getting those bonuses. I know they're big ass bonuses. I mean, that was also in the billions, but and that's Delaware. And Delaware is the home of every company of any size in America because of its, as we know, that's the whole point of being in Delaware, is that they are supposed to follow business law. So between that and the state of New York, man, I think they've damaged themselves pretty significantly. Again, sorry about the tangent, but I feel like this is just some of the Irish stuff coming over to the U.S., where, again, we've talked about it a lot. They're the laboratory, they're the petri dish, all those things where, I mean, we know ourselves there's no law in Ireland. Whatever some barrister or a judge at the time decides, there's no precedent, there's nothing for them to lean on. They'll just change their mind next time around, so it doesn't matter. And that's the way it is now here in the U.S.
100%. And I think the Elon Musk thing is just crazy because he got 70% of shareholder approval. He got board approval. They offered him the deal. He did the work. They thought it didn't hit the targets, and he did. And it valued the company at $1 trillion. And he gets the money, and yet they want to take it back from him. I mean, that's just how Ireland is. Get you involved, hit your targets when the possibilities are almost impossible. And as soon as you hit your targets, we're going to step in and grab it from you, take it from you, and come up with some crappy thing like what they did with Trump in New York, Yep. And that's why no one wants to go to Ireland. That's why no one wants to go kind of to build anything. I know they have a housing crisis, but who's going to bring their equity and start doing stuff in Ireland when they take it from you? It's quite crazy, but that's what's happening in New York, Delaware, all the blue states, Chicago. We're having problems with Chicago, everywhere. That's not a red state because they're not following the laws. They don't care about the laws. They want to get the man, and thank God whatever we're involved in is actually federal. So federal civil or whatever it is that we could, there's a precedent that overrides states, but New York is a dead duck in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's the thing. It's just that they'll do whatever they want to do. They're not looking at the long-term consequences, and it's really going to hurt them. That's the way I look at it, because these things are precedent setting, and then they'll come out and say, oh no, it's just a special case for Donald Trump. Well, Donald Trump, and I'm sorry, again, he kind of built New York. They were in a slump to put it mildly, in the 70s and 80s, and he really stuck around and helped bring it back and was a big part of that. And he was a hero, but now they politically don't like him, so they're going to go after him. And it's interesting to see that happen, but that really hurts their brand, and it hurts their system, because you can't trust it. Because even though he's the one in their sights now, you might be the one in their sights at some point in the future.
100%. And as we all know, the devils eventually eat their own. But I mean, again, this is a prosecutor that wants to be a governor. This is a judge that wants to get a higher promotion to probably the appeals court. So again, it's just, I'm going to take my own interests over the interest in New York. But again, New York, you voted for all this. You voted for this. And it's kind of like, they had a big rally in New York against the immigrants or migrants there. And, the people are kind of chanting, don't let the migrants into this homeless shelter, exactly like what's going on in Ireland. But yet the reporter went around, they all voted Democrat. And it's just like, well, what do you expect? But they just can't separate the fact that their vote is what's leading to these issues. But the problem the Republicans always have is that you have weak Republicans, that are bought off, and so it's just the politicians are the worst, and that's why it'll be interesting to see the shakeup in Ireland now that the PM resigned all of a sudden, which is kind of big news, and we'll get to. But just after meeting Joe Biden and kind of going after Israel for demanding a ceasefire and all this stuff, so it'll be interesting to see. But I just, Pierce Brosnan, it's like, yeah, we figured that. 5,000, not slap on the wrist, blah, blah, blah.
Yep. And well, if nothing else, it was something that, we want to keep an eye on. But more good news, or at least something interesting. Again, I think we've done a pretty good job tying this back to Ireland, but we also have Roadhouse coming out this week when we record this on Amazon. That's going to be Conor McGregor's big debut as an actor, expanding his empire. And it'll be interesting to see that. I don't hold out a lot of hope for him being a good actor, though. I think he's going to be probably something of a caricature, but hopefully, if nothing else, the fights will be good.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he said, I think he's been doing the tours and stuff like that for the promotion for the movie, and he said acting was harder than MMA, but who knows? I mean, he kind of looks goofy in it, but it'll be a good watch nonetheless. I heard it's pretty good. I mean, I didn't hear anything bad about it, which is nice to hear. But we'll see how he plays out. He seems a little over the top,
Yeah,
in it.
yeah, but he is over the top. That kind of lines up, right? He's a little bit of a showman, something of a caricature. And if he's coming in, at least he's not playing the good guy, because I don't think that would work. So him coming in it looks like his character is going to be something of a thug or a guy who's being hired to cause some problems for the main character, and I think he can probably do that pretty well, even if he's again pretty bombastic and and somewhat hammy. But if nothing else, it looks fun. I mean, it honestly looks really good, so I'm looking forward to it. And jump on that. Maybe in the next couple of weeks we can talk about it or look at it over the weekend or what have you. But so
Yes.
that's Roadhouse, so that's cool. I mean, the time kind of flew, but as you mentioned, the big news is really the Taoiseach Leo stepping aside today. So again, as we record this, that really came out overnight. Everybody's like, "Oh, it was a big surprise," but it's kind of what he needed to do, right? I mean, they got crushed in those referendums, in those votes. So if they want to at least have any hope of coming back, he's got to get out of there, and his face can't be, within, 100 yards of a camera, because he's the face of that, and he pushed for it. And sorry, that's the price you pay. You go for these things, and they're out of step, and you lost.
That's right. I heard, I mean, from what I know about Ireland, the referendums, I mean, just doing some research for this topic, which kind of took me by surprise. Referendums happen in Ireland a lot compared to other countries, but this was the biggest shellacking that a referendum's ever delivered to the government, which shows that the government's just so out of step and just so kind of in their bubble that they can't, there's no one, they can't see, they just can't see it. They don't know what the people want.
They don't care. They don't care what the people want. They want to do what they want to do, and they're going to push their agenda as far as they can. There's people in the streets, for crying out loud. I mean, it's crazy that people are actually protesting, and that takes a lot to wake up Irish people. So we've been commenting on that too for weeks upon weeks. That hey, people are paying attention now, and that was something of a proxy, if nothing else, probably for the immigration that's going on and everything else that they've been pushing.
Yeah, and of course, St. Patrick's Day, they were able to move all the, of course, they have homeless on their streets now too. So they moved them all out of Dublin for the St. Patrick's Day parade for the photographers and stuff, and now they're right back.
Yep.
So it's a big mess, and everybody's kind of had enough. But again, it's not, the Dubliners don't see it, it's everywhere else. And it was a pretty big shellacking. And if this is kind of any indication, the two parties are going to be wiped, But who's going to step in? Sinn Féin? I mean, they're just as horrible as anybody else. It's just kind of a mess. So they kind of said, oh, he's stepping down so that, a new political leader can take over the party and try to get some people to vote for them in the election, which is within a year away. And of the 33 people in their party that got elected, called the TDs, 10 have already said they're not going for re-election because they got so smoked in this past referendum and I don't know if anything, his comments about Israel and doing a ceasefire on behalf of Hamas when he met Joe Biden the other day helped him, but people are kind of looking into that too. That says, what, has he been blackballed by the elites or something, or did they make him step down? But it's kind of because a lot of the Irish are very much I would say, Israel, the university kids have about, the Palestinians or whatever. They have that left-leaning view. But again, no one wants to talk about it at the world stage. They're going to take the lead from Joe Biden and let him take the slings and arrows. But it was kind of surprising that he brought it up at the White House, of all things, just talk about St. Patrick's Day. But so whether this is a shock surprise or whether this was in the making is yet to be revealed.
Yeah. Or, what he could have talked about was, Irish interests. If he was, if you like having an audience with Biden, maybe he should have talked about stuff that would benefit Ireland and not Israel or not Hamas. That's who cares. That's not you. That's not your country. You don't represent them. You represent your country. And this is the thing with these globalists. They just stick their nose where it doesn't belong. At least stay with your own country and talk about, hey, this is what we want for Ireland. And will you support us in the UN or whatever? And talk about something real. Talk about your own country. Don't get into international affairs when you really don't have much business. So I don't know what the big deal was or what they thought they were going to accomplish. Like, oh yeah, we're going to go and really give it to Biden. It's just like, he's not going to care. He's there to get his Waterford Crystal Bowl and with the green in it and everything and the shamrocks and stuff, and that's it. He's not going to be talking policy with you. But really what that was and I think we probably mentioned it last time, was set up to be a victory lap for them to go in, win these two referendums, be able to say, yeah, look at what we've done, we're the most progressive country, and they got crushed. And instead of being a victory lap, it was like a tour of shame for all of those politicians going around to every country they did for St. Patrick's Day. And I know we didn't talk about St. Patrick's Day, but other than that, there really wasn't much to really talk about. But it was just kind of the usual tour, and I don't know what they were doing. It's just, again, they had to hang their heads in shame for that because they just look like morons, and they are morons. So if nothing else, at least he's doing the right thing, stepping down and getting out of the way. But there's not much hope. I mean, we've talked about it. It's the Uniparty, and all these other parties are like, oh, well, they really pushed for it. It wasn't us who were pushing for those, referendum and those votes. It's like, dude, you were all in it together. Every last one of you were pushing as hard as you could, other than, one or two other politicians that were out there, particularly that Senator McDowell. I mean, he was really the only one out there, and a bunch of independents. But it was as grassroots as it could get, and they got creamed. And I'm so delighted. I'm still, a week later, still enjoying it.
Well, it's happening all over Europe now. I mean, again, Ireland doesn't have any really right-wing party. They have a uniparty, which is Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, we're supposed to be the opposites, but they're virtually the same party. And then they have Sinn Féin, which is kind of it's not right-wing, it's leftist, but it's kind of out on its own, doing its own thing.
They're socialists.
They're socialists. They need a right-wing party because what happened in Portugal over the weekend or last week, the right-wing party is gaining everywhere in Europe, and they must be going crazy to try to stop Ireland from going there. And this referendum's just a proof that kind of it's not really even right wing, or kind of right wing extreme or whatever. It's just middle of the road. It's just name calling still. But Leo Varadkar was not supposed to be PM. I mean, it was the height of the gay movement, and he got in, but no one liked him. I mean, he was only liked by one group, and that was the press. Because he was openly gay, they gave him plum spots, and then and the press just backed him, and so that he only had a relationship with one group, which was the press, and no one really likes him, and still to this day, no one really likes him. I understand, but he never liked Ireland. He was an immigrant, or his parents were. I mean, he's from India, and I don't think they like Ireland at all. That's what it's like. Joe Biden. You love America, but you everything you do destroys America. Yeah, it's just an oxymoron.
Yep, and that's the thing too. With him, yeah, I completely agree. And one of the things in the research, and I didn't realize this, that he never led his party to a general election victory. He always came in the back door after they won, or he took over from the previous
and Kenny.
Yeah, yes, thank you. And but it's not like he was the standard bearer and led them to victory. He still hasn't done that, and he never will. So it's good to see the back of him and hopefully put this away. But
and the only reason the parties like Enda Kenny, who was rumored to wear women's clothes and all this, who was the former guy, and I think there's pictures of all him doing that, is because they were so sick of Fianna Fáil, which was the other party, which is part of this uniparty, who pretty much collapsed the country in 2008.
Right.
So then they elect Fine Gael, and it's just a joke because they're the same people, but the people mentally think it's a change. but it's not a change. And so it's like 1 p.m. after another is just a complete freaking joke, and the president, again, has no authority, but we'll see what Conor McGregor, I mean, I just want to see Conor McGregor go mess it up because he won't let anything through, but we'll see what happens with the general election, because unless kind of people come out of the woodwork and start kind of, putting their name in for candidates, they're just going to get the same crap,
Right.
At least Portugal and all the other ones have a far right wing kind of a coalition that's put together to kind of challenge these groups that, like, Portugal, for example, can't put a government together unless they grab, these right wing, far right wing, and that's the same even with Holland that won. The middle guys won't, like the Mitt Romneys of the Europe, won't form a government to create with these far right, so they can't form a government. So Holland doesn't have a government, I believe, still, because the centralists like the Mitt Romneys won't join with the what they call the far right, which was really just center, center conservative less than 10 or 20 years ago.
Yeah. Or somebody who's right of the socialists. That's the thing. They figure that the Socialist Party is better. Those are the people who should really be in power. So anybody who's not them is some kind of extremist, and that's not the reality. But that's how they play the game. They just like, oh, you're a white right-wing extremist. But as you said, Fianna Fáil, they talk about the establishment. They were the establishment for God knows how many years, and they were corrupt as all hell. So that was the thing too. When they got voted out, I remember, you and I talking about it, being like somewhat optimistic that, hey, maybe these people, Fine Gael would come in and get rid of some of the corruption, maybe clean things up, but they just went as left as they possibly could and just were pushing all of this left-wing extremism, and they got a lot of it in. And, they obviously the abortion one is the biggest one, but they continued to do that as far as they could until this last pushback the other week.
Agreed. And I think Fine Gael was the biggest disappointment, because when they did take over from Fianna Fáil, everybody thought, okay, the banks will be cool. We can kind of get back to business. We can kind of, nope, they went even more extreme. They took so many people's properties. It's just a deep state. Ireland is just captured. And I don't care who they put in, another gay guy, another person, they're just another captured. And I just don't understand. They couldn't probably fire Leo, because you can't fire a gay guy. It's kind of like firing a black guy in America or a black girl. So we forced him to resign. Is just, give him the ultimatum as they would. Like, you want the carrot or you want the stick? You want the, board seat on JP Morgan Ireland, or do you want to be a leper with no money, and we'll come after your license in about 10 years when things calm down. So I would say he was forced to resign to some degree, and they're just putting a spin on it. Like, oh, we need a new leader now for the elections coming up, and give a new face and blah, blah, blah. But the timing doesn't make sense. There's something not right.
Well, he's not resigning out of, the Dáil altogether. He's still going to be, in government, or, not in government, but he's still going to be an elected representative. So he's not resigning his seat. He's still going to be there. So maybe he's like, I'm young enough. I can sit back and, wait for the dust to settle and take another run at this, because I know how the levers of power work. So it's not a bad strategy, but at the same time, hopefully we won't see him again.
Well, but like, if you're not PM, it's hard to win. He might not win his re-election. He barely won it the last time, I understand, before he was PM. Okay. So nothing's certain in this day and age.
That's true.
So it's kind of like he could be out pretty quick if he doesn't, like, if you're PM or some kind of high price cabinet member, you have more staying power. But if you're in the back bench, you better start doing some stuff for your constituents. But I think, like, a lot of the videos I was watching kind of, about him, he presided over, COVID lockdowns, and I think in a couple past episodes we comment on this, and like why he's in the park with a lot of his gay friends. They're rubbing each other down. No shit. Like, putting suntan lotion on, having a nice little gay fest in Phoenix Park while everybody's locked in their house, and the cops are, taking people off the beaches and literally escorting them back to their house. And he's having a grand old time. Again, just like every single Nancy Pelosi and all these, it's not rules for us, it's rules for you,
That's right.
And he's just another one of those people, whether it's Micheál Martin for the Fianna Fáil, or they get, another Fine Gael guy. They'll be the same like, Ireland's so captured, unless they can't do anything without a call from Europe or whoever runs that show. And I think they just mistimed it. They were supposed to be, yeah, I think this was probably their only issue, that they wanted to kind of be the most progressive. Let's get it before St. Patrick's Day, then we can all go out and celebrate across the world. And they rushed it through, and they didn't care. They didn't really understand what the people wanted.
Yeah, I hear you. I agree. I thought that was the case too. So I'm glad they did push back. Hopefully they'll continue to push back on immigration as well. And, if nothing else, it's been some good news these last couple of weeks. So let's enjoy it and see what happens next. I think that more or less captures our joy, if you like, with this guy being out. But, we're not holding out a lot of hope for new blood coming in, or anybody who will really right the ship. It's going to be long and hard if it can even be done. But I guess we'll see in time.
Yeah, I mean, it all comes back down to the deep state and how they're kind of, are they freaking out, or they're just, they have another bomb to drop, like a COVID bomb or something coming up? Because across the world, it seems like that the far left's or the left agenda and the elite's agenda is definitely getting messed up now, know?
Yeah. There's definitely another something out there. They know, because let's be honest, and then we can shut this down. But these governments did not take the beating that they should have for the lockdowns. That's in America. You mentioned Nancy Pelosi. That's California, where it was the worst. Governor Newsom survived it, and in Europe as well. So I don't think people are still, they still haven't really, if they try again, it might be a more extreme reaction, but I don't think that in the polls that they really got the beating that they should have, considering they locked people down, people lost their livelihoods, and it was not good. So
no, and to be honest with you, like, their agenda or their modus operandi is, if people don't like it, we double down. I mean, Joe Biden, I think, an EV mandate today or yesterday with regards to 50% of all cars have to be EV, when in fact all the car manufacturers are stopping EV because, and across the board, like even solar panels, everything is it's not working out the way they thought, and yet they just double down.
Yep.
It's just crazy. It's kind of enough is enough, but they just want to bring it to the point of breaking across the board, breaking everybody, buying cars, buying crap, just for power, to enslave everybody. It's just weird. It's so kind of selfish, and they just don't care for humanity anymore. It's like,
yeah, that's true. That's it.
Yeah. So we'll see how it works out with them. But I thought it was good news to see them go. But we'll see what the elections come, because I don't see, again, Ireland's mindset changing that much, but people are getting tired of it. Yeah. People are getting tired of the illegals, mainly in their face, getting money from the governments and stuff like that,
Yep. That's in the US too. So I think that's going to be the next big thing. So, all right, Jay, I think that kind of wraps us up for now. We'll get back together here in the next couple of days. Again, folks, thank you for listening, and also thank you for going out and getting Hard Border and seeing what James and I put together on that. Again, we've got more in the pipeline here. Continue to like and subscribe, and also join us on Twitter. Thank you so much, and have a great afternoon, great day, great evening. Jay, thanks so much for joining and hopping on.
Thank you very much.
All right, talk to you later.